Hey, baby. I didn't have time to make you a cake, so here's your birthday cake. Happy birthday. It's vanilla. I hope you like it. I can show the Black Cat clock. It's really cool. It's so cool. I like this little diner. I was getting pictures. So this place is called Showtime. It's kind of cool.
Jimmy.
That's your buddy.
Yeah. So we would walk down here and cut through this little path to get
To the Food Lion.
to the Food Lion, and also we had a James's.
It's like a silo looking thing back there.
Almost bought that trailer right there. And the trailer's not there anymore, but that's where the lot I used to live at.
That one.
Yep.
And that was your mom's.
Yeah. Why is my car doing that?
Oh, it's because of the speed bumps. So, this is haunted?
All of this is haunted, yes.
How is this haunted?
I believe it's Revolutionary War here. And down here's the Civil War site. It was down in this area right here.
So what happened? What was your experience?
Me and my mother was heading northbound, opposite direction. It was middle of July at night. It was foggy in the middle of July. And saw this fog forming into these figures. And it wasn't just one long figure, it looked like a bunch of them, and one was sitting up high. And it got really cool. At that time, like, you could see your breath, you could breathe.
Yeah.
And once we passed it, then it was bad. I figured you would love this.
Okay. So this is all private property? This is all private property?
Yeah, this is all private.
Okay. So we're gonna zoom out.
Private property, no trespassing after dark.
Alright. So what do we got over here? Point Lookout Prison. Confederate Memorial Park Incorporated was built to educate, prison truth, and honor over 52,000 soldiers, citizens, clergy, women, and children of all races, religion, genders, who are inhumanely treated while imprisoned at Point Lookout Prison Camp, even after death. Confederate Memorial Park does not promote or condone any form of hate, racism, supremacy, or political views. Flags in this park are flags of prisoners that died under and that draped their caskets. They do not represent hate then, nor do they represent hate at this park. Read primary information and stop getting your education from media or opinions. Take your revisionist history theory BS somewhere else. I love it. So are all these prisoners?
Some of them, yeah. They got some on the back.
On this side?
Mm-hmm.
It has been established over 65,000 Southern blacks were in the Confederate ranks. Over 13,000 of those saw the elephant, also known as meeting the enemy in combat. Those black Confederates included both slave and free.
See?
Wow. Oh, that's really pretty. Large granite stone fell off the barge into the Chesapeake Bay in 1910 while the federal monument at the Confederate Cemetery was being constructed. In front of the granite stone are memorial bricks, some of the missing names of over 2,000 unknowns that died at Point Lookout Prison Camp, whose names were not engraved in the federal monument.
Yeah, the monument's right over there. So.
Okay. Point Lookout Prison. The Memorial Plaza is to honor the sacrifices of 52,264 Confederate soldiers, sailors, and civilians imprisoned near here during the war between the states. Point Lookout Prison was established immediately following the Battle of Gettysburg and was operated by the Union Army from September 1863 to June 1865. So only 2 years, really. Barely. It was set to hold 10,000 prisoners, but it held more than double that. Inhumane conditions, active persecution, thousands of prisoners died. The record is incomplete and still being compiled. Dear God, 200 years later? Confederate flags of the South, Southern heritage, culture, and sovereignty. The Bonnie Blue, 1860. First National, 1861. Second National, 1863. Third National, 1865. And the Confederate Battle. All that was or is now desired is that the truth be told without exaggeration, without omission, truth for its own sake and for the sake of honest history. Reverend James P. Smith, the last survivor of the staff of Lieutenant General Thomas J. Stonewall Jackson.
About how Maryland was not a Confederate state and that all Marylanders fought for the North. In fact, more people from Maryland crossed into Virginia to serve for the Confederacy than they fought for the Union. And
Blacks in the Confederacy. In 1862, when abolitionist Frederick Douglass met with Abraham Lincoln to persuade him to enlist blacks in the Union Army, he stated there are, at present moment, many colored men in the Confederate Army doing duty not only as cooks, servants, and laborers, but as real soldiers, having a musket on their shoulders and bullets in their pockets, ready to shoot down any loyal troops that do all that soldiers may do to destroy the federal government and build up that of the rebels. Whose tomb is that?
I'm not sure. We gotta walk over there.
There. It's black-eyed Susans. I have these in my yard. Memorial bricks and flagpoles. The engraved bricks you see around the POW monument have been donated by descendants of the prisoners, veterans, organizations, and individuals. The names represent a small percentage documented of 52,264 POWs at Point Lookout. Wow. Hi.
How are you
doing? Good, how are you?
Where are you guys from?
Virginia?
I grew up around here. So,
Oh, you did?
Yeah, he's showing me around his hometown.
Lexington Park is where I grew up at, but I'm originally from Cheverly. and I spent half my life in Halifax County, Virginia, and I lived half my life in Virginia. So
I'm from Chesapeake, Portsmouth area.
we actually lived 30 minutes from Appomattox.
Yeah,
So I'm going to fill your head with a bunch of more stuff.
I love it.
Okay?
Okay.
Right, because here, my second great grandfather was prisoner at Point Lookout. I'm Christina Dunbar. I'm one of the chair of the park.
Nice to meet
I
you.
do presentations, so my mouth can run all
Oh
night. So
no, I'll
just
record
tell
it
me
and
to be
everything.
quiet,
I love an
okay?
educational video.
Alright, the first prisoners were not soldiers. The first prisoners were citizens. People don't know that.
Oh my
Okay?
goodness.
They did not teach
That's
us that
awful.
at Wixom Park
No.
Elementary.
They sure didn't. Okay, but do you know why?
No.
Because at the beginning of the war, Maryland, they suspended the right of habeas corpus, martial law.
Mhm.
So anybody that got in their way, they arrested. And put
They
in
got him
jail
out of the way.
without
Yep.
a charge. Being charged. Okay, there was over 40,000 citizens unjustly arrested and put in POW camps.
Wow.
Okay, that's some of the things people don't know. But I tell people, April 4th, 1861, Virginia voted to stay in the Union.
Right.
You know that.
Right.
April 12th, fire in Fort Sumter. April 15th. Don't know that one.
No.
That's when Lincoln ordered 75,000 troops, militia. I'm like, who are they fighting?
Yeah.
The war hadn't started yet. Citizens. They came in through Baltimore. First bloodshed of the Civil War, Pratt Street riots. Remember the word riots, okay?
Right.
Okay. Came into Baltimore, okay? Then they turned the guns on Baltimore, okay? They were fighting citizens, okay? There was citizens killed. That was the first bloodshed.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay. Month later, Virginia ceded for the injury and oppression of the citizens in the slaveholding states. Citizens.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, if you dressed your child in red and white in Maryland, your whole family was arrested.
Really?
If you were Southern, your neighbor didn't like you and said you were a Southern sympathizer, even though that's your First Amendment right, you were arrested.
Yeah.
Okay? If the clergy didn't put what there was called the standard, the U.S. flag, on their altar, they were arrested. There's
Wow.
not a clergy today that would put a flag on their altar. They worship God, not the flag.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so those are some of the things that people don't get. But we'll go back to riots, and I'm like, okay, how do you explain this to kids? Because the states were sovereign. I was born in Connecticut. Okay, all I learned was that Abraham was honest and he freed the slaves. Then I found out that's not it. When was the Emancipation Proclamation signed? January 1st, 1863.
63.
Almost 2 years
Yeah.
after the war started. Okay, and it only freed the slaves in the states of rebellion. Maryland slaves were not free because
No.
they locked up the legislation in Maryland, so they couldn't see. Okay?
Yeah,
They didn't
remember I
want-
told you about
They
that?
couldn't vote. They couldn't do
couldn't
anything.
vote,
Yeah.
they locked
Yeah,
up
I'm living in Virginia. People was like, "Oh, you're not Southern." I'm like, and I had to tell them like, Maryland was getting ready to secede. We literally had.
Okay, we tell that my husband served as pallbearer for the Hunley crew. The one, and they would say, because there was 1 million people there for that funeral, okay? And you get people, well, Maryland wasn't a, in the Confederacy, da da da. And he was piped up and he said, we had one man on that boat, okay, from Talbot County that died on the Hunley, okay, Ridgeway. And he goes, how many in South Carolina did you have? Not
Right.
He said Maryland was in the Confederacy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but I tell this to people. I said because it's a way of trying to get a perspective on what's happening today, and then. So, and I hate politicians. When they dedicated the Maryland Monument, July 4th, 1876, the 100-year anniversary on top of the remains, guest speaker there. And you'll get the goosebumps on this one because wait till I tell you. Big speech, 40 minutes. It took me to just read his speech. Talked about breaking away from England, their independence, and everything else because it was the 100-year anniversary. But he said they fought for political freedom against the supremacy of a government, and they will follow their savior to Calvary. And I tell people, history is repeating itself.
It is.
Like this right here, we got a couple of years ago. That is from a cemetery. Okay, it was in Grace Church Cemetery in Washington, D.C. It was pulled down by Antifa and spray painted. And
I know all about Antifa.
Grace Church didn't want to re-erect it. It's to 17 unknown soldiers.
17 unknown soldiers. Voices from the Pen. Sergeant Beckham. I'm going to try and go around and get all of these. It's the Arkansas flagpole. Lieutenant Peter Benton. Missouri flagpole. Private Joseph Bashaw. Tennessee flagpole. Sergeant Maddox. Louisiana flagpole. Wilbur Gramling. He doesn't seem to have a title or a station. Florida flagpole. Captain Park. Alabama flagpole. That one doesn't have a placard. Texas flagpole. Sergeant James Wells. Those are all just accounts from being in the penitentiary. South Carolina flagpole. Private Holt. Mississippi pole. Private Cone from Georgia Infantry. So this will be the Georgia flagpole. Sergeant Bark Dole from Ohio. So this would be the Ohio pole, I believe. Nope, South Carolina. Sergeant Malone. Captain Peyton.
It's actually popped up in the
Kentucky.
Susan. On that side's eroded away, go on into the Chesapeake.
See, I told you.
Okay, two structures remain. They rebuilt what they're calling the fort, the third fort. It used to be Fort Lincoln. Why they changed it, I don't know yet. Okay, but it's right there. And that little dot down there is the lighthouse. Okay, this was, everything else was sold off after the war. Okay, this was the structure that was Hammond Hospital for the Union. Okay, these were the second set of wharves put on. First set collapsed before the first prisoners came in. These were cottages, about 200 of them, built by William Cross Johnson in 1858. He was like the first timeshare. He would lease them out for 20 years. It was called the Point Lookout, the St. Mary's bathing place. Okay, this is the only woods that was here. That's why they had to ship in wood, and they rationed it, and that's why a lot of them froze to death. 98% of them died of disease, starvation, or frozen to death.
Yeah,
People
if you
think,
read
oh,
a lot of the
gunshots,
plaques,
no.
they're
No.
complaining
It wasn't that.
about
Over 400 of them died of
the
scurvy.
food and stuff. And
Okay, this is the contraband camp for black slaves and black teamsters. Okay, for runaway slaves and black teamsters. This was the Confederate prison. Okay, if you go in, the fishing pier is right here, so that gives you some kind of
Visual, yeah.
feel. Okay, cemeteries. All right, there was 4 for the Confederates. Well, one here, which I doubt. Okay, they call it the Peach Orchard. I think it was up here. Okay, there was 2 here and 1 smallpox right here. Union cemeteries, 1 pre-existing, 1 right here, 1 here, and supposedly 1 there. Okay, after the war, the government consolidated these 4 cemeteries into 2, added to the smallpox. This is smallpox hospital, by the way. Added to the smallpox, and then as soon as you go into the park, there's a ranch house on your left. There's a driveway that says no trespassing. You went down there less than a quarter of a mile. That was one of the original cemeteries. Okay, so that's to say, it gives you some kind of visual, because you go down there, you won't see nothing.
Oh, yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. So 1867, after the government consolidated these, a group of Confederate veterans got together. They went to the Maryland Assembly and enacted a committee. They hired 2 black men, William Shorter and Jarrett Hewlett, It was basically a scavenger hunt. They were paid by the bones, skulls being worth the most. Okay, they took the remains. What could be found were found. That's all the document they had. Went diagonally, put them in the mound, what they called the mound. July 4th, 1876, the Maryland Monument was dedicated over the mound. Okay. In 1910, people don't know this. We reconciled over 100 years ago. That with the Forster Act, that's when the government started marking Confederates in POW camps. That's when they gave back the flags in battle. So people don't know this stuff. All right. And with that, Maryland ceded the cemetery to the federal government. The Maryland Monument was brought down to one of the original cemeteries on Turner Creek, and the federal monument was built in its place above the mound. So that's where people go in. They don't know where they're buried. There's no proof. It just says Confederate Cemetery. They're underneath the tall one. Okay, the big federal monument.
Okay.
Okay. 1930, they put the road through. They went right over the smallpox cemetery. They found remains. Those remains were put behind the federal monument in a 20 by 20 rectangle. Okay. We did a ground penetrating radar 2014. That's why we know where it is. 1938, the Maryland Monument was moved back over here. That's why there's two monuments over there. But there's also two mass graves over there that people don't know about. All right, so now you know where.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Wow.
Okay. You can see they're doing construction. They're widening the road. Guess what they're going over? The
Cemetery.
smallpox
More graves,
cemetery again. So we're working with the archaeologists, so if remains are found, they'll be properly reinterred.
Right.
Hopefully. We're also, because it's over 150 years ago, we didn't want the dirt going to the dump. Okay, so we got permission from the Soil Conservation. So any dirt they take up in the cemetery section will be placed in a mound on our property. So, because it contains their DNA and everything.
Yeah.
We can't see it go into. And I tell people this, it didn't matter who you were, black, white, woman, child. If you had smallpox, you were segregated all to yourself. Okay? So, they might have buried them over there, but they could have been Union, black, could have been anybody. And I tell people, it didn't matter who you were in Maryland. You could be arrested, and that's why they had blacks, women, children arrested and sent to Point Lookout. So, but now you know a little bit more than you did.
Yeah.
Are you sweating?
Yeah, you're sweating.
The sun's coming out.
It gets hot here, so. But that's what about the war and everything else. I could tell people this park wasn't built because of the causes of the war. It was built because of atrocities that they endured before crimes against humanity even existed.
Right.
So.
Well, they actually put these up because they used to be able to. See? Those are the rocks I was telling you about. You got your salt water and your fresh water right over there. You want to get out?
Look at the water, baby. Come here. That's Robert in his natural habitat. Ow! That hurt. Wait, I can't get up. Hold my hat. It's my hat now. I stole it from you. Look at a seashell.
Yeah. This is what I'm used to.
It's a hot broth, like a palate cleanser sort of concept. There it goes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
At least his dad and not me. I was browning it with the soft serve. Brownie and cookie. You want some fries?
It's weird how they have the two lines on the opposite sides of the building. How does that work?
Easy. Just 1 second, please. They got banana, chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry.
They got sundaes too. They have funnel cake and slushies and freezes.
What would you like?
I'll do a strawberry milkshake.
Alright, yes, a large strawberry milkshake.
So is there a reason why it's called Checkers? Other than the checkerboard?
Yeah, well, you know, rallies you hear about up, I guess, in the West. Same company owns it.
No, I don't know anything about it.
It's like Hardee's is in Virginia, but if you go out west, they're Carl's Jr.'s.
Okay.
Same concept.
Oh.
That's why when you get Checkers fries from the grocery store, they have Rally's Rallies on it too. Same idea.
Interesting. So we're gonna try their milkshake and their funnel cake fries. And I have a sore throat. That's like pure ice cream.
What do you think?
It smells like a funnel cake.
I'm good right now. Getting out of here is usually a pain in the ass.
Yeah, but it's like wicked hot. Let them cool down for a second. They turn funnel cake into fry sticks.
I use the batter and just mold it into that. Because really when it comes down to funnel cakes, it's just a special batter.
Yeah, but still. They're like perfectly shaped fries.